Alright, good afternoon. Thanks for clicking on to the Monday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. The first yellow warning for snow has been issued. It was actually issued back on Saturday, and it is valid between midnight Tuesday into Wednesday and midnight Wednesday and Thursday. So the entire day of Wednesday is under a yellow warning for snow, particularly so across the north of Scotland, and it's all thanks to a frontal system moving southwards that will introduce colder air than what we've already got in place at the moment, and that is going to set the scene for snow cover becoming a little bit more widespread, and we are going to see the temperatures coming down further. So the Met Office, like I say, issued this yellow warning, expecting upwards of 2 to 5 centimetres at low levels and as much as 5 to 10 centimetres above 200 metres. So high level road routes are highly likely to be affected by this. But like I say, I have to emphasise that it is from the Central Highlands northwards, incorporating Orkney and Shetland as well. But the reason why is because we've got, of course, winds now turning from east to north, and we're going to see colder air coming down from the north as well. So you can see here off the ECMWF chart here, this is the 850 temperatures, and you can see the colder coming down straight out of the Arctic region here. Plenty of mild air across the Mediterranean basin. That's well suppressed to the south. And what we're going to find is we're actually going to see a couple of features that originate way within the Arctic that is going to come southwards aboard that northerly flow. And we need to keep an eye on those features as we go towards the second half of this upcoming work week. It could get a little bit more interesting towards Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend for snow scenarios here. But you can see here, according to the ECMWF at least, that we are going to remain in the cold air through the course of this week. There's a little bit of a flirt with milder air, so to speak, to the southwest during the day on Saturday. We've got an area of low pressure well out over the Atlantic. That is going to try to push milder air north, but it looks as if the colder wins out, according to the ECMWF, and we actually get a fresh injection of Arctic air coming south during the course of middle next week. Way out, I know that, but it's interesting nonetheless to see what the models are indicating. Now, the GFS is actually quite interesting because it's actually allowing the milder air to win later in the run. Let's play it through the loop here, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. So get to the current time frame. In comes the Arctic air, of course. That is going to become entrenched over the entire UK and Ireland during the second half of this week. Temperatures are going to struggle to get much above freezing, even in the south of England, during Thursday and particularly Friday of this week. We get continued northerly winds. It's going to continue to keep that source from the north, south over the British Isles. Little features coming south, a little bit less cold air, 850 if you notice here. Through the course of the weekend, these features are pretty close to the UK. They could be enhancing snow shower activity, for example. And then you notice here towards the early and middle half of next week that the modelling is seeing milder air coming back into the UK once again here. So the GFS, the latest run at least, is actually seeing the return of milder conditions during next week. So we'll wait and see what happens with that. Certainly the ECMWF holding on to the cold longer than the GFS is. But like I've said in yesterday's video, models have a hard time reading the pattern when it comes to colder as well as Atlantic air trying to fight against the polar air. I think the polar air will win out. I think once it becomes more established over the UK, it's hard to shift that. But it's going to be certainly worth paying attention to, I think, as we go forward here. Look at the snow chart here of the model, and you can see what takes place here. So play it through the loop. This is off the GFS. We'll have a look at the CMWF in a second. You can see the snow then becoming reasonably widespread, actually, by the time we reach midnight on Thursday. And as we go through the second half of this week, notice here, eastern side of Northern Ireland's showing snowfall, and also we're seeing it across the north and particularly northeast of England. Even areas just to the east of Manchester over the Pennines, for example, could see a covering of snow quite easily, I think, during the second half of this week. And as we continue to play through this is on Friday into Saturday. We can see snow even down across higher parts of the south of England and Wales also here. So, we are going to see quite a lot of areas, certainly above 200 metres, that receive snow on the ground. And of course, once you start getting snow on the ground, you're increasing the cold temperatures. Daytime temperatures in areas will not get above freezing. Nighttime temperatures, especially if you get clear skies and lighter winds, temperatures in the double digits below freezing is highly likely during the latter half of this week and into the weekend here. But it is just a classic December cold pattern. At this moment in time, there is nothing extreme or unusual about this type of scenario here. So, just keeping things somewhat in perspective. Now, looking at the ECMWF snow chart here, you can see here the snow becoming more expansive once we get into the Wednesday, Thursday morning time frame. As you can see here, frontal system moves south. It enhances the snow shower activity, and therefore we're going to start to see tricky travel conditions as a result of that. Now, notice here the difference between ECMWF and the GFS is it's not really picking up much snow, really much south of places like Aviemore, for example. We will get a covering likely here, but to the south of that, according to the ECMWF, we don't get an awful lot of snow up until late weekend and into early next week. That is where it starts to see more snowfall, and it's really only the northeast of England, borders of Scotland, North Wales, and parts of the Midlands and the East Anglia is going to see snowfall. Parts of Northern Ireland, especially across the north, up Donegal way, the west coast of Ireland as well, seeing some snow. But notice it's quite different to what the GFS is portraying here. So, predicting snowfall across the British Isles is very, very difficult, and it's very marginal. Of course, when you're surrounded by relatively warm waters, the air mass has to be pretty cold in order to support snow, especially the low levels here. So we'll wait and see what happens. But certainly across the north of Scotland, we're going to see a snow on the ground by the time we reach the middle portion of this week, and then we'll see what happens during the second half of the week. Upcoming 5 days off the GFS ensemble. We've got plenty of cold air. Interestingly, how the models now have backed off and cold more towards the eastern side of the United States. It seems to be more the west and central portion of the US. We've got a ridge of high pressure to the southeast. That is going to keep things a little bit warmer in the south and the east of the United States. So that's quite interesting to see here. Warm Greenland, cold Iceland, cold UK and Ireland here, as you can see, warm across southeastern Europe. And also temperatures are coming down across the east of Asia as well. We've seen the coldest temperatures of the season so far in Japan, some parts minus 17. Nothing, again, unusual for the mountains of Japan at this time of the year, but nonetheless, it's interesting to see that. But notice here, this is the 6 to 10 day, cold across a large swathe of Asia, as you can see here. Eastern portions of North America is warmer than normal versus a colder than normal west. And then, of course, we still have the cold Scandinavia, British Isles, Ireland, Iceland, France, firmly entrenched in cold air. Even the 11 to 15 day period, we're still below normal, and that takes us out to the 20th of December here. Still warmer than normal across the eastern half of the United States and Canada, which is quite interesting. Very chilly conditions across the Koreas, Japan, more or less all of China, as you can see here, is below normal as well. So, it is definitely an interesting pattern. There's no question about that. And you can see off the GFS as well, the below normal. This is the 2-meter temperature anomaly chart here, and you can see how the cold air becomes more and more established across the big three industrial areas of the northern hemisphere. This is the month of December so far across the European continent, below normal across England and Wales, slightly warmer than normal across Scotland, if you notice here, Northern Ireland as well. And I think what's going to happen is the blue becomes a lot more established across the continent as we progress through the month of December. So all in all, things are looking pretty good at the moment. Cold, we've got snow on the way, we've got cold temperatures. We're going to have a look specifically at overnight minimums probably in tomorrow's video, because we could see some pretty impressive overnight temperatures, I think, if we get the clear skies and the light winds, I think, during the second half of this week here. So we'll wait and see what happens. And of course, it depends on how much snow cover you get on the ground as well. So a wintry week of weather to come across the UK and across many portions of Europe. Keep it right here on my YouTube channel and stay up to date with daily videos. Please like, please share with your friends and family, and be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.